Thank you for being with me. I am your host, Brian. This is the BrianTMurray YouTube channel. For today's encouragement session, I want to do the NBA Hall of Famers, the 2001 class. So let's start. I have the list here. I'm not going to do everyone. I'm going to do the ones that I'm most familiar with. Sorry. That's just how it works. This year's class, 9 honorees from the North American and Women's Committees. The ninth winningest coach in NBA history, Rick Adaman. Let me start with Rick Adaman. Rick Adaman I remember him more so. I mean, he's just one of those guys who, as Jordan says, or as basically folks have said, I did not know. Wow. I don't want to go with his playing career. I can only go with his coaching career because that's where it started for me. It says here from 1983 to 1989, he was an assistant for Portland. I don't remember that. Okay. That is probably the days with them dealing with the Lakers and the Bad Boys. I remember Adaman. When I first remember Rick Adaman was when he took over as the Portland Trail Blazers head coach, and those, boy, I'm telling you. Now, it's no real structure here. It's just a stream of consciousness. I asked my father the first time I saw the Portland Trail Blazers on TV. I was like, I'm from Baltimore originally, so I asked my father. I was like, Dad, where is Portland? And he said, "Oh, Maine." Of course, me being a kid. Maine has an NBA team? Oh, anything is possible. Glory to God, anything is possible. I think I went months believing the Portland Trail Blazers was from Maine. It wasn't until NBA on NBC with Bob Costas, and I think Portland was in the playoffs, and like they showed the old what is it? The Rose Coliseum. Way back, the Rose Coliseum. That thing said Portland, Oregon. What is Oregon? Oregon is not Maine. Anyway, Portland Portland was so sharp to me, man. I like the black jerseys, but I like the white jerseys. And if you remember, their floor was different from everybody else's. It's because you had the white paint and the red circle and the Portland sign in the center, and on the other side the white paint and the red circle where the free throw shots are. That was different. I was like, yo, this look clean. This look clean. Portland was clean. They didn't have any knuckleheads on their team, though Jerome Kersey could flare up at any moment. Jerome Kersey was Draymond Green before Draymond Green. But Portland was clean, man. I mean, what? You have a more subdued version of Jordan referring to the Glide? Portland was clean. I mean, presentation is so important. Presentation is so important. It's because you don't know who people are. All you can do is look at them, and it's like, that's clean. That is clean. Those white home jerseys and that white home floor, man, that was clean. That was clean. And I didn't start watching sports until 1991. So I wasn't familiar with. I got into learning about sports because I was feeling left out at school, because whenever folks would talk about sports, I ain't know what was going on, because no one in my family watched sports. No one. So I got tired of being left out of conversations. So I just turned on NBA on NBC, and I just started consuming as much NBA and as much NFL as I could. I started learning people's names, started learning teams, even though I didn't know where all the teams were. I was just learning inside stuff, man, with Amar Rashad and Willow Bay. I believe it was. I mean, I was just consuming, man. So even whenever I went to school or anybody brought it up, I could have that conversation with them. I started doing that ever since I was in the 7th grade. Just learning. After a while, you get tired of being left out of conversations. They may not be interesting to you, but the very least you could do is know what's being said. No one taught me sports. I taught myself sports, and I did the same exact thing with college football. Growing up, hated college football because I didn't see the point of it. Now, part of that was I'm in church all day on the Sabbath. Okay, so you got college football being played on Saturday all day. That means nothing to me. It wasn't until 2013. When you had ESPN, they had a link. They said college football hottest uniforms and helmets. Now I'm big on color coordination and everything, as you can see in my videos. When I'm not wearing a wife beater. When I clicked that link and I saw Oregon and TCU, and again, clean, just clean. That was the first reason. The second reason was Johnny Manziel. When he took money for signing, when he was taking money for his autographs, and the NCAA cracked down on him and Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley got in trouble. Johnny Manziel didn't get in trouble because, number one, the NCAA didn't have any proof. They had zero proof. They had zero proof. They had zero paper trail. Johnny Manziel said, "Why can I take money for my autograph?" See, the difference of dynamic was this. Number one, Johnny Manziel was white. Number two, most importantly, Johnny Manziel came from a wealthy family. See, attacking Reggie Bush and all the other urban black college players and all that was more race related than anything else. When you had at the time, college football most popular player who was not broke and came from money. The Manziel family makes their money off of oil, similar to Jerry Jones before he got into car dealerships and the Dallas Cowboys. He makes the Manziel makes their fortune off of oil, so he was not broke. So when he said, as a wealthy young man without the NFL, why can't I take money for my autograph? That changed everything. That changed everything. 2013. July, August of 2013. That changed everything. Everybody. I mean, this leaked in the mainstream media. Everybody was talking about it. So, I'm just sharing how I began to teach myself sports because nobody else was going to do it. And the best way to do it was just watch a lot of sports. Just be exposed to it. Just be exposed to it. Exposure means so much. It means so much. You need exposure. You need exposure. Okay. So I'm watching these Portland Trail Blazers from Maine. I'm like, this is clean. And then, Chicago just beat the Lakers the year before. Okay. So you kind of got an idea who Phil Jackson was. But who was this Rick Adaman? Rick Adaman was one of those coaches similar to Jerry Sloan. If it wasn't for Jordan and Phil Jackson, ain't no telling how many rings they would have gotten. That's just how I was. I was rooting for Portland. I was like, can we stop this, Jordan? I rooted against Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron the majority of their careers. I liked all three of them. But I knew that just certain guys wasn't going to get a ring until they stopped Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. So, yeah, crazy. So, I was at my cousin's wedding, cousin Keisha's wedding in Baltimore. I was as a kid. It was on a Sunday. When we got home late that night, Portland was up big. I saw the final highlight. Now we didn't have cable. We no. Whatever you wanted to see about sports, you either had to wait until the local news showed highlights, or get you the sports section of the Baltimore Sun. I got home, turned on the news. They said that Portland was up big in the fourth quarter. Then Chicago's bench took over. I was like, what? I was like, man, push this thing to game 7. Portland was up in the fourth quarter and lost. That was so terrible, man. That was so terrible. That was so uncool. So, Rick Adaman, he was an assistant to 1983 to 1989. Then he took over as head coach in 1989 to 1994. Yeah. Once Barkley came to Phoenix, Portland was done. Especially that year, Clyde got a hamstring injury. So Portland got bounced in the first round by San Antonio. Yeah. San Antonio was too strong. Little did they know they'll be losing a lot to San Antonio in the future as well. Okay, 95 to 97. We have that went on. And number one, if you remember, post Nelly and Chris Webber in 95 to 97, Golden State could not stay healthy. They had Joe Smith at that time. Yeah. Golden State hired Adaman to produce the success that he had in Portland. It says here, in 1995, Adaman was hired as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, and he was unable to duplicate his success in Portland and was fired after only 2 years with the team. Nothing. But let's put it straight. That roster was nothing. Portland was deep. Portland has always been deep. Let's be clear about that. Portland had stopped being deep during the Dame Lillard era. That's when Portland stopped being deep. The Glide, the Jailblazers, God Almighty, boy, they was deep. They had Hall of Famers on the bench. Yeah, so that didn't work. So 2 years later, the Sacramento Kings hired him in Sacktown. This was when Chris Webber, he was there a year after Chris Webber. Chris Adaman at Sacramento. Ugh. Man. Sacramento Kings. 2002 Sacramento Kings. Y'all had that. But you missed 30 free throws. Every single player missed 30 free throws. Watching Mike Bibby give everything to the Lakers were too old, they were too slow. Sacramento was all five positions. Shaq was doing his thing, but it was not enough. Every three that Sacramento put up went in. I'm talking about splash. Not even touching the rim. That was Kobe, when he got off that bus, that Joe Montana home red jersey and those sunglasses, and he played that game like that. That was when in 2002. That's when you saw that Kobe should be the number one option. This is why. 2002, Shaquille O'Neal has already been in the league for 10 years. So to watch him wind up, back down, post up, left fake, right fake, all this other stuff, it was getting too complicated. It just got to a point where Adaman put Chris Webber on Shaq and took Divox off him, because Divox was just a crash dummy against Shaq, as most players are, but Divox was also older. So Adaman put C-Web on Shaq. Respectable job. Yeah. But Kobe could get his shot earlier. Doug L. Christie was a great defender. But when Kobe got in the zone, no. Ain't none of that matter. Ain't none of that matter. No, sir. None of that matter. Now, this is what I don't remember. The Houston Rockets brought in Rick Adaman 5 days after the dismissal of Jeff Van Gundy. I don't remember Adaman in Houston. After, oh wow, Adaman guided the Rockets to a 22-game win streak from January through March 2008. See, by the letdowns in Portland and Sac, I think people just stopped caring. People just stopped caring. Okay, in 2009, the Rockets finished 5th in the West with 53-29. They had T-Mac, they had Yao Ming. People just stopped caring. Of course, I remember Van Gundy there, but I just forgot Adaman took over for Houston. This is what I absolutely don't remember. On September 13th, the Minnesota Timberwolves confirmed the hiring of Rick Adaman as their new coach. April 6, 2013, Adaman won his 1,000th career game. Don't remember all of that, but I think I saw that Rick Adaman finished as the ninth most win among coaches. Between his job in Portland and Sac, where he was in conference championships playing for, that was a bad Portland team, and that was an even better Sacramento team. Yep, Rick Adaman. If he was in any other era, if it wasn't for Jordan and Kobe, Adaman would have a couple of rings. All right, next we'll have Chris Bosh. I remember Chris Bosh from Georgia Tech. He's from Texas. He was from Georgia Tech. Let's get into this. All right. Yes. He's from his high school. Excuse me. His high school, Lincoln in Dallas, Texas. He went into Georgia Tech. He was the 4th pick overall in that top-heavy 03 draft, drafted by the Toronto Raptors. I remember all of that. Bosh in Toronto. Bosh was in Toronto at the same time Vinsanity was there. You know, Bosh had game. Vinsanity was still there. They were still hovering in the playoffs, but the first round exit, you know, that happens. Bosh was the backup plan for the super team in Miami. Because people don't know this, but Carmelo was supposed to go to Miami. Melo turned it down because he wanted his money, while LeBron and D-Wade was taking pay cuts. Carmelo's like, I want all my money all the time. So LeBron saw the roster and was like, we're still missing. We need someone else. And they went in after Bosh. That's crazy, man. I mean, Chris Bosh, he amplifies team player. It wasn't until I saw Chris Bosh in Miami that I understood what they meant by players sacrificing their games for the team. This guy was averaging 19, 20 points, getting buckets in Toronto. He came to Miami to get half that. But he did critical things on the floor. Nothing more critical than the first year Miami played San Antonio. Pop took TD off the floor. LeBron took a three. The three bounced. Bosh could only get a finger on it, and he back tapped it out to Jesus Shuttlesworth. Jesus Shuttlesworth made the greatest shot in NBA Finals history. Again, I know it's 7-8 years later, but why did Pop take Tim Duncan out of the game in the final moments? Why? Had they have gotten that one rebound, they would have won. They would have won. Yeah, craziness. I remember when after LeBron left, sidebar, Dan Patrick, I don't know if Dan Patrick still thinks this, but he didn't think that Chris Bosh is a Hall of Famer. I believe he is, because number one, his body of work was in Toronto, but the rings came in Miami. Yeah, he put in his early work in Toronto. His rookie year, he averaged 11.5 points a game. Next year, 16.8. Next year, 22.5. Next year, 22.6. Next year, 22.3. Next year, 22.7. 2009 to 2010, 24 points a game. The longer he stayed in Miami, his numbers dipped until 2014 to 2015, when he averaged 21 points a game. Then the next year, that year he played only 44 games. That's right about when the heart situation came up. The following year he played 53 games, 19 points. Yeah, he has the resume. And most importantly, by the time he got to Miami, he was playing in meaningful games in late May and late June, in mid-June. Okay, so yeah, he's definitely Hall of Fame. The way he put his career together, he got his points in Toronto. He played meaningful games in Miami, where he was the third option until LeBron left for Cleveland again. Cleveland. So, yeah, Bosh was a good guy. He came in with the dreads. Bosh was just a good guy. All right, who's next? Bill Russell coaching career. I can't say too much about this because I didn't learn until a few years ago. He was coaching the Sacramento Kings, and that's why Kenny Smith and Bill Russell are so close, because his rookie year, Kenny Smith was drafted by Sacramento. Didn't know that. So we'll move on. Let's see. Ben Wallace. I remember Ben Wallace. Oh, yes, I do. I remember Ben Wallace. Yes. Ben Wallace. Now, I'm trying to remember which was first. Was Orlando first or was Washington first? Which was first? Orlando or Washington? Washington was first. Yes. I was sad when the Washington Bullets traded away She for Kevin Duckworth. Ooh. Yeah, Kevin Duckworth. Yeah. And I was like, man, because she at UNC, like, come on now. So Ben Wallace, nothing special in Washington. His rookie year, I didn't even know that he was even drafted in 90s. I did not know Ben Wallace was even in the 90s. I don't think Ben Wallace was drafted. Yeah. But his rookie year, if he was drafted, he was a part of that 96 draft. Insane, right? Yes. Undrafted. Undrafted. Gotcha. All right. He played 14 years. I remember he had the number 30 in Washington. He took She's number. I was like, whoa, Wallace is back with Washington. Not so fast, my friend. Ben Wallace took it. I remember him as number 4 in Orlando. Just big black dude in Orlando. I didn't get it. Okay, whatever. Then we had Detroit. Once he got to Detroit, they were setting things up, man. So he was the only player, him and Dennis Rodman. And I did say Curtis Weber earlier, but that was for shorter spurts. Dennis Rodman in the fourth quarter. But Ben Wallace, from start to finish, he was the only one to guard Shaq one-on-one. I mean, David Robinson and Ewing and Elijah Warren guarded him one-on-one, but yeah, they mixed it up by throwing Oakley and Mason and Otis Thorpe and, other guys to guard Shaq, okay? But Ben Wallace, no, from start to finish, or to finish. When Ben Wallace was on Shaq, they didn't even bother to double team. It's like, nope. We rather let you do whatever you do, and just let things go with it. So yeah, no, that is crazy. That is crazy. Those Detroit Pistons were exciting to watch. They was leaving there something crazy. They had something crazy. It was like they had several games having opponents keeping them under 100 points, 90 points, and 80 points, like something like that. That was crazy, man. That was crazy. I mean, Detroit was back. Detroit basketball was back. When Detroit is up, the league is better. When your blue bloods are up, that was better. By the time 2004 came, Detroit was cool and better when they put New Jersey out of their misery. New Jersey had a nice little run with Jason Kidd. They had 2 straight finals, whatever. They got to the finals. They was heavily undermanned against the Lakers and the Spurs. But when Detroit got there, man, and like all that running gun offense, Detroit is like, we ain't having none of that. We ain't having none of that. That was cool, man. It was like everybody was rooting for Detroit. So Detroit could have won 2 championships, but I knew San Antonio. I knew that series would go on to 7 games, and I knew that San Antonio was going to win it. I knew that what was happening. Okay, we got that. I remember in 06, it says here, I remember when Ben Wallace went to Chicago. Let me tell you, nothing special. Nothing special. I remember him being a free agent and he went to Chicago. Nothing special. Then everything was downhill. He was in Chicago from 06 to 08. Then I remember him at 08 to 09 to Cleveland. And I remember when the Washington Wizards and the Cleveland Cavaliers was playing each other, I went to the 2 playoff games. Games 3 and 4 when Cleveland was in Washington. I saw that. And at that time, Ben Wallace was just done, you know, just as effective in Cleveland as he was in Washington and Orlando. Nothing special. And it says here 2009 to 2012, he went back to Detroit. He was a shell of himself back then. NBA champion, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 02, 03, 05, 06. 4-time NBA All-Star. I remember the Pistons sending 4. I mean, old school. I remember Cleveland sending 4 All-Stars to the All-Star game. 2-time All-NBA third team, 5-time NBA All-Defensive Team first team, All-Defensive second team, 2-time NBA rebounding leader, NBA blocks leader. Number 3 is retired by the Detroit Pistons. This was, I mean, you just remember. It says here that Charles Oakley is Wallace's mentor. It makes sense. I mean, a guy who was averaging 1 point a game, he just made a name for himself by being himself. Man. I mean, that was just awesome to watch. Man. The centerpiece, Chris Webber. Huge Chris Webber fan at Michigan. When they played Montrose in North Carolina, he called that timeout. That was heartbreaking. I haven't felt like that since Seattle did not run Marshawn Lynch on the 1-yard line. Meaning it was there for the taking, but you didn't take it. When Chris called that timeout, when they didn't have any timeouts left, devastating. It was devastating watching the Fab Five walk back to their locker room. And you had, I think Jimmy King was throwing a folding chair. I mean, that was crazy. Do you know how famous Chris Webber was as a teenager? he got even more famous with that timeout call, man. I thought Chris Webber was going to Orlando. I said, if Chris Webber goes to Orlando, I'll start liking Shaq more. He was drafted by Orlando, then traded for Penny Hardaway, and he went to Golden State. I was like, I don't know nothing about Golden State, but I'm getting ready to learn. I wanted a Michigan jersey, and I wanted a Chris Webber Golden State jersey, and I still do. I still do. That was amazing, watching that kind of talent. That was amazing. Chris Webber, his rookie year in Golden State. I mean, you just ain't seen nothing like that before. You saw a power forward fly around, and his name wasn't Sean Kemp. That's what it was like. That is what it was like. That was insane. That was insane. I mean, it was nothing he couldn't do. It was nothing he couldn't do. I mean, he put Golden State. Granted, the Run DMC, I didn't watch any of that. I wasn't watching sports yet. But when Chris Webber went to Golden State, the first blow they had was when Tim Hardaway blew his knee out and missed the entire year. Tim Hardaway and Chris Webber. Now, it worked out because Avery Johnson was their point guard in Golden State. We also found out about Billy Owens and Latrell Sprewell. Golden State was not on TV. The only way you could see anything from Golden State was on Inside Stuff. Didn't have cable. They had 0 national games. This was crazy. You had Chris Webber who had Nike commercials, but no national games. This was crazy. This was crazy. Oh my goodness. I was reading in the Baltimore Sun. There was beef between him and Nelly. He didn't like the way Nelly was talking to him, so he forced his way out of Golden State. I was on my way to school, and I saw on the news and in the Baltimore Sun, I heard on the news, I heard that they were working on it. But I saw in the Baltimore Sun sports section, Chris Webber got traded to the Washington Bullets. I was like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I mean, there was an excitement. There was an excitement that, like, we didn't even understand. It's like, this is big, but what does this mean? What it meant was this was disappointing. We saw Chris Webber and Juwan Howard do every dunk they could for 3 years when he was healthy. I remember in '97, the Washington Bullets played the #1 seed Chicago Bulls. That was huge. I was living in Tacoma Park, Maryland. That was huge. That was huge. I mean, Washington is in the playoffs against the Bulls, who won 72 games the year before. And they almost stumbled into winning 70 again the following year. This is crazy. This is crazy. This was insane. This was insane. Those 97 bullets, boy. Crazy. Crazy. You saw how the Chicago struggled with the new age basketball player where you had big men that can do all four things: score, rebound, assist, block, steals. You know, the new age the golden age of power forwards. Sean Kemp the year before in the finals, then Chris Webber in the first round in the playoffs. Chicago struggled with that. Chicago struggled with that. But they knew that, you know, the best they had to throw at Jordan was Calvert Chaney and Tracy Murray. Jordan's like, you gotta be kidding me. When 98 came and the late great Abe Pollin changed the name to the Wizards, and I think, yeah, that was just bad. Washington, Chris Webber, he had that case. Yeah, that was just bad. That was just bad. I think that was the beginning of the end of the friendship between him and Juwan Howard. Because that was on local media down here in Washington like every day. They were at a party at Juwan Howard's house, and this girl claimed that one of them, both of them, forced her into oral sex. Y'all, that was not great. That was not great. I mean, by the time that was happening, and this was trending before the internet was mainstream. It was so bad. Dennis Rodman could have said to Chris Webber and Juwan Howard, "Yo, y'all." I remember when Donnie Simpson said this on the radio. Like, yo, y'all really need to get yourselves y'all life in order. when the worm comes to y'all and say you need to get it together, y'all in a bad place. So I think right before that's why Chris Webber got traded, because that situation was so bad it wasn't even tenable. They traded Chris Webber for Mitch Richmond. Exactly. So Washington had like 4 shooting guards, all these guards, maybe a center, and like Juwan Howard. I mean, it was just out of place. It's like, oh, y'all ain't trying to win. When Chris Webber got to Sacramento in '98, I remember where I was when I heard the trade went through. I was glad the whole Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, because those oh my goodness, they wasn't even playing team ball, man. They was just playing Michigan Part 2, man. I mean, they was only throwing alley-oops to each other. I mean, they wasn't. This is why Bickerstaff was so important, because the year in '97 when the Washington Bullets went to the playoffs, Bickerstaff emphasized to them, Rod Strickland has to handle the ball. Because all y'all 6'10 fellas dribbling the ball as if y'all point guards, it's like, no, you're forcing everybody else to just watch y'all, okay? And the offense becomes very predictable. It's like, no, y'all gotta stop this. No, gotta stop it. So, Chris Webber got to Sacramento. That was crazy. That was crazy. That was crazy. Chris Webber Whenever he played his former teams, he went all out. It didn't matter if it was 50 points or a triple-double. He burned his former teams. When he was in Washington, he did it to Golden State all the time. By the time he got to Sacramento, that grudge was there against Washington. His first game back at the MCI Center. Donnie Simpson had him in studio. That was huge. Man. Chris Webber. The Sacramento Kings, 99 Kings, who played Utah in the first round and took them to the elimination game. And in those days, it was the best of 5 back in the good old days. The best of 5. I mean, they was taking Utah to overtime, double overtime, triple overtime. I mean, yo, this is crazy. They had Vernon Maxwell. Like, yo, this is crazy. I mean, it's like, what is Sacramento? Man? But, I mean, you wanted Utah, you wanted the mailman in Stockton to win a championship. But that became so much harder watching these young Sacramento Kings, man. That was just hard. That was hard to do, hard to watch. After more injuries in Sacramento, especially towards the end. I mean, one year, I think it was 03, 04. Chris Webber blew his knee out. They was fighting, trying to get back to the conference finals, and they was playing Dallas. Chris Webber blew his knee out, and I was like, at this time, he's about 10 years in the league, and the Maloof brothers traded him to Sacramento. They sent Matt Barnes. That shows how long ago it was. Matt Barnes and Chris Webber to Philly. I forgot who Philly traded back, but Chris Webber in Philly. I mean, he was a shell of himself. It's like, no, you are not the same guy. Even during that time, it was a lot of rumors saying that Chris Webber didn't really want to play with Allen Iverson. Because when you are in the league for 12, 13, 14 years, the last thing you want to do is play with a dominant guard who won't pass you the ball. Like, in Sacramento, they ran the Princeton offense, which means all 5 positions is passing the ball. Everyone is cutting to the hoop. Beautiful ball movement. Sacramento, man, they was a joy to watch. Sacramento was Golden State before Golden State. Then you leave that and go to Philadelphia. I remember in 2007 when he signed with Detroit. And he was so excited to play for his hometown. I believe it was his cousin or godson or something. He said he had a dream that him, Chris Webber, and the Detroit Pistons won a championship. But you had the number 84. Because he couldn't get 4 because that was Joey D's number. Okay. So he had the number 84. That was the year that LeBron broke loose through Detroit. When he scored like 26 points straight. And I remember a criticism that Chris Webber had. He said, because most of these guys won a championship, they didn't want it as badly as I did, who didn't have a championship. I remember that. And I vaguely remember him playing with Golden State just to end his career out. So Chris Webber, man. If I ever had a man crush, the first one was to Chris Webber because Chris Webber was just that guy, man. He had an easy first name. Later, I found out it was not. Chris is not his first name. Chris is his middle name. I believe it is. I mean, that was just huge. That was just huge, man. He had a great smile. He had the goatee. He had the little. I used to put parts. I have very lavish natural eyebrows. So seeing Chris Webber and Nick Van Exel, who had parts in their eyebrows, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. I did that for maybe, I think like, no, I did it for years. I did it for years. I'm talking like, I did that for almost about 15 years. I put parts in my eyebrows. Yeah, I did that for 15 years. When I saw Chris Webber and Nick Van Exel, I was like, yeah, that is a pure cool guy move. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. So that's my take on Chris Webber. Man, I'm gonna get. Oh yeah, I have the Washington Bullets #2 jersey because when Washington trade Googs to Golden State for Chris Webber, Scott Skiles was still with the Bullets, so Scott Skiles had #4, so Chris Webber wore #2. So you had two power forwards in the East, Chris Webber and Larry Johnson. Man, boy, when you had Chris Webber and Juwan Howard in Washington and Larry Johnson and Lonzo Mourning still in Charlotte, but yet Jordan was still dominating. When Jordan came back in '95, man, that was so good, man. That was so good. I mean, so I bought I did. I bought a Chris Webber jersey, the #2. I still have it. I still have it. I wore it a couple months ago. Oh yeah, I wear all my stuff. This is why the Lord keeps blessing me, because everything He gives me, I use. I went on the high school class trip to Disney World. We call it the train down there. And one of my favorite pictures is with me and Harris on the train, sitting in the back, and like we're sitting on the floor of the train, up against the wall. And I had a Chris Webber jersey. I had my Chris Webber jersey. Man, I enjoy that picture so much, man. Because we were so young. We looked like babies in that picture. We were both 18. Yeah. 17 in that picture. Yeah. But man, I enjoyed me some Chris Webber, boy. You couldn't say nothing about Chris Webber around me. And notice I'm not even mentioning his scandal at all. No, number one, I'm not that familiar with it, so I'm not going to talk about it. So yeah, no. And lastly, this won't take long. Jay Wright. Jay Wright. Jay Wright winning his 2 championships with Nova. I remember one year he beat UNC. Okay, I remember the first championship he won. This was crazy. The first championship he won, I remember there was a couple. I know Sarah Spain was one of them. I can't remember who was the other young lady journalist that co-signed. But when Jay won his first championship, okay, in 2016 and 2018. Okay, so 2016, he beat UNC, upset. I think 2017 UNC came back and they've returned the favor. The following year, in 2018. Okay. In 2016, they beat UNC. Okay. Okay. A lot of facts going on here. I remember 2016-17 they lost to Wisconsin. In 2018, yeah. Okay, yeah. So when Jay Wright won his first championship, Sarah Spain from ESPN, and I forgot who the other journalist was, young lady journalist. They commented on how handsome he was. I was like, what? like things you don't think about. They said, yeah, that salt and pepper in his head. He looks like my dad. I was like, whoa. I'm still leaving that alone, and it's 5 years later. Whoa! For you to say that on live television, I mean they just had a girl moment, and like but yeah, Jay put Nova on the map. I mean, Nova always had respectable players, but winning 2 championships in 3 years, man. I mean, beating Power 5 schools and everything, man. I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So 2 rings in 3 years, that's good stuff. So yeah. All right, I think how can we overlook Paul Pierce? Paul Pierce, the truth. I remember him vaguely at Kansas, where Bill Self was still there. Yeah. His interview, Paul Pierce, with all the smoke, at least the first one. I didn't see the second one. Good stuff. Paul Pierce, man. Seeing Paul Pierce come in to go along in that 98 draft with Vince Carter, man. That was tough. That was tough. You knew he was a good player. He was a reliable player, man. But seeing him operate with Antoine Walker, that was tough. That was tough because Antoine Walker was like, look, I'm shooting the ball. I don't care what you draw up. I'm shooting this ball. We quickly saw that Paul Pierce was a better player, a more efficient player. We saw all of that happen. Seeing Paul stick with the Celtics when Doc Rivers got there. I think it was 05. And they was battling back and forth. I like what Danny Ainge said. He said, you stuck with us when we was losing. Yeah. He was with the Celtics from 1998, of course, to 2013. I remember when Danny Ainge traded him during the 2013 draft. Bill Simmons lost his mind on live television. It's not so much as he just tapped out. And Jalen Rose kept picking with him, trying to make eye contact with him, like, yo, you can't come on now. Don't get fired. Yeah, that was Paul Pierce, man. I mean, people do not remember the playoff run they had in 2002. When they went to the conference finals with Antoine, Paul Pierce, and Kenny Anderson with Boston. New Jersey was just too much for them. But yo, I mean, that was admirable. That was admirable. Like, yo, the league is better when Boston is up. The league is better when Boston is up. So, yeah. The 2007 draft, when Boston was trying to get Greg Oden, and they got, I think, the number 3 overall pick. They drafted Gerald Green. They tried to get Kevin Garnett to come to the Boston Celtics. Kevin Garnett was like, whoever y'all trade for me, it'll be like Minnesota, but in Boston. So, no. The best thing that ever happened to Boston was Boston not getting the number 1 overall draft pick. When Portland got the number 1 overall draft pick, they knew they were going for Greg Oden. And Seattle knew that they were going for Kevin Durant. Boston got Gerald Green. Ainge was like, let me flip this for Ray Allen in Seattle. Durant and Gerald Green was in Seattle together. When the trade for Ray Allen to Boston, Kevin Garnett was like, let's do it. That 07, 08 Boston Celtics. That was amazing to watch. Because you knew you was watching a winner every single night. They was watching a winner every single night. That was just amazing. I mean, I was rooting for Boston like I don't know what. Why? Because number one, you wanted Garnett and Ray Allen to win. You wanted Paul Pierce. You want guys you have watched for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years be in the league. And they never, not even one, they haven't even played for a championship. You want them to get it, okay? Especially, they wasn't like the Lakers where, you know, because they are the Lakers, they feel like they should win a championship. It's like, when they renewed the rivalry, Lakers and Celtics in 07, 08, that was wonderful. because we saw a brand of toughness in Boston that we haven't seen since New York, Miami. Paul Pierce gets traded. Yeah, those last. Okay. 2012. That was impressive, but Raja Rondo was trying to win that playoff series against Miami for Boston. LeBron was just too much. But yeah, at 2013, Danny Ainge wanted to do right by Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and trade him to Brooklyn. They went into Brooklyn. They beat, I think, Toronto that year. It's like, yeah, it just got to the point where Paul Pierce was just diminishing goods. And by the time he got to Brooklyn, he'd already been in the league for 15 years. Okay, so, yeah. By the time he got to Washington, I remember the tweet when he tweeted Obama saying, I'm in DC. So yeah, this just, yeah, by the time he got to the Clippers, he was just a shell of himself. He was a shell of himself. So yeah, Paul Pierce, man, that is good stuff. I'm very sorry how things happen with ESPN. He knows that was self-inflicted, but I understand because I remember he was crying about it. Yeah. When you're an athlete and you have a certain code of conduct, then when you get your first real job in life, and your job is a corporate job, I mean ESPN owned by Disney, it's like, no, you're not an athlete anymore. Yeah, ESPN was right for firing him. I would have liked for them to have suspended him because, yeah. But yeah, I'm very sorry that happened. When you have a position and it's taken away from you because of what you did, as I said earlier in the night, I said what TDJ said. It hurt a lot, but it shouldn't hurt long. If you extract the lessons from that pain, it shouldn't hurt long. You can't control the fact that it hurt a lot, but if it hurts long, you can control that. So I just wish the best for Paul Pierce. I just do, Though he is a champion, a Hall of Famer, he's still underrated. I remember, just quickly, when the 2006 Miami Heat, when Antoine Walker was in Miami, and Paul Pierce would come down to Miami to support Antoine Walker. That year, that was the first year Boston broke out the green and gold uniforms. Some possessed Paul Pierce because he went on a scoring spree that was insane. Like, he's on a losing team. Why is he doing this? Crazy. To see Paul Pierce go one-on-one with Kobe, as he should, that was just beautiful to watch. Like, yo, your ace versus me, my Boston ace. Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. All right, y'all. I'm going to end this video here. This was very good. Just filter out how I admire these players and everything. So I hope to get a Paul Pierce jersey as well. So, all right, everyone. This has been great, and I'll see you in a little bit. All right, take it. Bye.